how do you put a movement into words? Andrew Gibson paints this beautiful picture of human beings as violins. When you pluck a chord on one violin, any other violin that is in a close proximity reverberates the same note back. When I was being interviewed for the Gainesville Sun at our image event earlier this semester, I was quoted as saying something to the effect of, somehow I became the voice of a generation today. While that isn't exactly the ideal quote that I wanted them to take from my entire, 30-minute conversation with the reporter, it really represents this idea of reverberating. I realized that we, as an organization, had caused a chord to be struck in people in the UF community, and that chord was now reverberating. When we started on it, we didn't really know what we were doing, to be honest. We knew that there had been this act of vandalism against a professor on the UF campus. We knew that this act of vandalism had been directed at his sexuality. So we knew that whatever climate allowed for this to happen needed to be changed. So we started talking to students, to faculty, to other organizations. We took a survey. Essentially, what we began to figure out was that the crux of the concept heteronormativity was on our campus. What technology? You know what? Thank you. Okay. Back to what I was saying. The crux of the concept heteronormativity was on our campus. I'm going to just kind of take a second to get with the technology. All right. Whew. And I'm the one who's supposed to not mess up. All right. Well, throwing caution to the wind. The crux of the concept heteronormativity was on our campus. Essentially, heteronormativity can be broken down into two words: heterosexual and normal. It's the idea that men and women hold specific, opposite, and attracting gender roles within society. Men are supposed to be hyper-masculine, hypersexual, basically hyper, and women are supposed to be reserved and emotional and feminine. This is obviously a flawed concept, not even taking into account the fact that it doesn't whatsoever account for transgender individuals. It also doesn't take into account same-sex couples and opposite-sex couples who don't subscribe to common gender roles. But that's the boring stuff. What we really began to realize was that what UF was saying and what they were doing were two very different things. UF's mission statement has a word that appears quite a few times, and if you haven't read the mission statement, I would recommend it. It's a very compelling document. But the word is diversity. And diversity to me means acceptance. And diversity is what allows for, I think you're in the wrong room. Maybe, maybe not.
He's in the right room.
He's in the right room? Okay. I wanted to make sure, just in case he was taking an exam, this isn't the exam. But, yes. And I'm the one distracting myself now. So, diversity to me means acceptance. And diversity is what allows for the university climate to function. You take a group of individuals, like the people in this room, who have different and sometimes conflicting ideas, backgrounds, religions, and you allow them to intermingle freely and create new ideas, which allows for technological and intellectual innovation. When a group of people on a university campus begins to feel unwelcome or even unsafe, then that diverse climate and that melting pot of ideas begins to break down, which essentially makes the university system invalid. So we decided that we, as an organization, had to change this. We began brainstorming, and we arrived at the idea of, is there a place for the LGBTQ community on UF's campus? If not, we're making one. What motivates you?
What motivates you? I had this friend named Emma since elementary school, and we were practically like sisters. She told me everything, but there was one thing that she forgot to tell me until the day of our graduation. Literally right before we walked on stage, Emma came out to me, and she told me she was also going to tell her parents too, because she believed that they loved her and that they would accept her. That very day, she told her parents that she was a lesbian, but that's when things started to take a really ugly turn. Emma's father told her that what she was doing was satanic, and if prayers could not fix her, then she had to go see a psychologist. The following weeks, Emma's parents made her go to a bunch of pastors, which meant she was essentially coming out to all these people against her will. What's worse is that these pastors went on to tell their family and friends about Emma's secret. Emma suffered through all of this just to make her family happy. After all, it would only be, until the summer was over, and then she could go off to UF and forget about the pain. Well, as summer came to a close, Emma's parents approached her and told her that she could not go to UF because she needed to be around a good influence, and she had to become normal again. Well, that didn't. She cracked. She started screaming, yelling, shouting, she threw a fit, and she packed her bags and drove to UF here with me. Well, things didn't end there. When Emma and me got here, she started getting Facebook messages, and people from back home calling her things like fag, dyke, and even saying phrases that I had never heard before. They said things like, "You took Homo sapien too far." And eventually Emma's roommates came to find out that she was a lesbian. And what ended up happening was they stopped wearing pajamas around her, and they also stopped eating around her because they thought she had STDs, because that's what happens when you automatically become gay. So it was a pretty rough time for her. And what ended up happening was, during Christmas break, me and my bunch of my friends told her that, to come home with us, take a break from all this drama. You don't need to suffer like this anymore. And she told us, no, I'm going, to my aunt's house for the break. It's fine. That was the last time I saw her, because 2 weeks later, I got a call from her mom telling me that Emma had committed suicide. Some days we have heavy hearts.
So with heavy hearts and a bold resolution, we began planning. Essentially, we arrived at this question: how do we fix this problem of heteronormativity on campus? So we brainstormed for 2 months. And we came to the idea that we'd have a kissing demonstration next to this statue on campus. This statue, combined with the lack of alternative couples featured in university art, was a clear statement of heteronormative culture. So we began talking to professors, and we talked to LGBT affairs, and we thought about having a queer Sadie Hawkins dance. Except instead of just girls asking guys, anyone can ask anyone else. Naturally, there are two sides to every issue. Those who want to make a change and those who want things to stay the same. Ours was no different. When we posted our event on Facebook, we weren't expecting there to be such a giant, only sometimes academic discussion on our wall. We were wrong. From accusatory debates to the romantic proposals, we got people talking. This is the core message to getting any movement started. And it's a very simple process. Do something abnormal. Sometimes you have to be radical to get people to notice. At UF, we have a lot of things competing for your attention daily. From preachers yelling that we're all going to hell to people handing out flyers in lobster costumes, there's a lot going on. So you have to make your intentions clear, and you have to take risks. At the end of the day, you never really know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's better to be undefined.
Sometimes it's better to be undefined. At our image event, one of the reporters asked me what I identify as. When I asked her what she meant, she said, well, are you straight or gay or bi? I get this question a lot for some reason. So fortunately, I knew how to answer. I didn't choose A, B, or C, but instead I tried to explain that I think sexuality is fluid. I really do think sexuality is fluid, but also I'm just kind of crazy, and I wanted to be that question on the test that drives you crazy because none of the multiple choice answers are correct. And more than that, I wanted her to realize that it didn't matter because who I am isn't who I'm with. What mattered is that I'm a human being. And there's a group of human beings who identifies as the LGBT community who doesn't have equal rights in this country. That's a huge problem. It's a problem that has infiltrated the university, and it has infiltrated our university, which is why our student union is named after a man who purged gay students and faculty from this university. What are we doing about this problem? I know queer students who fight for their rights and representation every day. But what about the rest of us? What can we do? Well, the other night when I was reading The Art of Loving, which everybody should read, it came to me that if we love ourselves and we love everyone else the same way that we love ourselves, then we'll kind of become one person. And then that one person, who we can just call humanity, can start dealing with the bigger issues. So whether you're persecuted or privileged, it doesn't matter. You're human. Equality is your problem. I know that I'm privileged. I'm privileged for ridiculous reasons, like for my skin being white, even though it's kind of yellow, and when I'm nervous, like right now, it gets red splotches all over it, and my face gets really, really white. But anyway, it's still white. I also have a boyfriend. I don't act like a girl, but I look like one, and I have a boyfriend. I have a boyfriend who likes to talk about the future. And being the crazy girl that I am, every time he talks about it, I reiterate to him that I'm never going to marry him. But I don't say it like that. I tell him that I won't ever marry him, which sounds really terrible, but I'm a realist, and the importance of that is that I have the privilege to say won't. I don't have to say can't. He's also really affectionate, which I am not, but theoretically, if I was, I could be affectionate in public, and I wouldn't have to be scared of the consequences, because I'm safe. Whenever I come to campus, I don't have to be scared that somebody's going to vandalize my car, because I'm just like a lot of you guys. We're safe at this campus. We don't have to feel a blade pressing into us every time somebody says, "That's so gay," or "Don't be a faggot." But we can still stop the bleeding. All it takes is one person.
All it takes is one person. When we sat down to write this talk, we were asked, what is the most significant part about this campaign for us? I automatically thought of our image event by the statue, and how while we were all dancing, a girl on her bike stopped for a moment, took out her phone, and Instagrammed a picture of us. That's when it hit me. In 9 days, we had planned and executed an event that brought 40 people dancing and countless more in attention alone. But why was this so exciting for me? I'm a business major, and this protest has been the most progressive thing I've done in college thus far. And before taking this class, I could never have imagined that I would have contributed to such an inspiring event. I'm graduating in the spring, and people are constantly preaching that I need to stand out in order to make a difference. But now, fortunately, I know how to make something go viral and fast. And that is a massively marketable skill that I'm going to spark an interest. I mean, how cool would findbruceajob.com be? But essentially, what am I trying to express to you guys? Don't be afraid to take risks. If you can get arrested for jaywalking, why not get arrested for protesting? Get people talking. Because people, honestly, it's not that hard. People are constantly talking, texting, Facebooking, tweeting, teching irresponsibly. But the point is to get them talking about you. Be memorable. Do something different for a change. Everyone has signs and megaphones. Why not blast music and dance? You might end up in the Gainesville Sun or in jail, but you did it. How can we put this movement into words? There really is only one word: viral.